Science Saturday, why it's a lovely day to try some science and say, why does it happen that way? Ask some questions, get some answers, see some science, hear some laughter. You might even find yourself thinking and learning and laughing. Oh, Science Saturday, why it's a lovely day to try some science and say, why does it happen that way? Why does it happen that way? Why does it happen that way? What are we studying for science today?
Hey, it's Mr. Frank. Welcome to Science Saturdays Outdoors Together. Today, we're going to be studying all the kind of cool things you could do outside this summer. That's right, it's summer. You should be outside. The weather is great in the Northern Hemisphere. Well, this is one example of something that I like to do outside. My wife and I like to grow these herbs so that we can use them to cook. So they're just growing in little mason jars here, hung up in our backyard. So it's a really nice way to have some fresh herbs to give an extra added spice to your meals. On today's show, Fultzie's gonna take us into her garden. I'm gonna explore how to attract hummingbirds. Fultzie's dad is gonna talk to us about beekeeping. Fultzie's gonna talk to us about viscosity. What even is that? And even how to make an oven using the sun. So, stay tuned, and here's what you need to do during our show. During our show, we have so many concepts that have to do with energy. Think about all the ways that energy enters our bodies or enters these plants. Anytime you hear a concept where something is getting energy, you need to hit the thumbs up. And that's going to tell us you're listening for the word or the concept even of the word energy. All right, here we go. Count down with me. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
So do you want to make your very own garden at home? Let me show you 2 ways to start your seedlings in your home. The first is to get a Ziploc bag and some wet paper towels and a stapler. And what you're going to do is you're going to put your paper towel into your Ziploc bag and you're going to make some staples. And that's going to give some room for your roots to grow. So I'm going to take a couple of my green bean seeds. Alright, so now you can see my seeds are sitting on top of those staples. And I could spread them out to give them some room to grow so they don't grow into each other and get to be a tangled mess. And then you're going to seal it up and you're going to give it some sunlight. Is a plant a producer or a consumer? I hope you're saying producer. Why is a plant a producer? Well, a plant makes its own food. It takes the energy from the sun, and it takes the carbon dioxide from the air, and it takes the water up from the soil, and it converts all of those things to its own glucose or sugar. And this is the process of photosynthesis. So plants are producers. So we're gonna put this in the window of my house so that way these little seeds have plenty of water and sunlight to start to grow. Now I'm going to show you my second way. Alright, so I got a big bag of soil. This is organic seed starter soil. So hopefully it'll really help my seeds to grow. And I am going to put my soil in my carton. Now, why did I choose a cardboard carton? Well, I chose a cardboard carton because it is biodegradable. It can go into the soil and it will be great compost that will provide some good nutrients for my seeds. So now I've got some Jacoby little pumpkins. These aren't going to be big pumpkins. They're going to be the cute little pumpkins. See that? So I went to a local gardener in my hometown to pick up all of my seeds. And I can trust them. I know that they're good seeds. Here's my pumpkin seeds right there. And I'm going to take one pumpkin seed and put it in each of these little egg cartons. Look at that, exactly 12 seeds. Alright, and I'm going to cover some of these seeds up a little bit more with some dirt. Now, what do these seeds need? They need lots of water and sun. So, as these grow, I'm going to keep them watered, and I'm going to keep them in the sun, and they will sprout some seeds that I can then plant into the ground. If you live in Ohio and you want to start your garden in, let's say, between January or March, this is a great way to do that. You can give your seeds a head start before you can plant them outside by giving them some water and some sun.
Hey, it's Mr. Frank. We're making a hummingbird feeder. We would like to attract the hummingbirds that migrate to this area of Ohio every year. Here are the supplies you need. You need a water bottle. You need a plastic container with a lid, preferably a red lid. Measuring cups, sugar, a hanger, a pair of needle nose pliers, a tool that can cut and poke holes, and a hot glue gun. Use the hot glue gun and the cutting tools under the supervision of an adult. The first thing we have to do is we have to make the nectar. We want 4 parts of water to 1 part sugar. 1 cup of sugar and then 4 cups of water. So you might want to ask your parents' help in the kitchen if they don't let you use the stove, but we need to heat this water and sugar mixture. So once it boils, you want to remove it from the heat. I just turned it off because I've got a gas stove. Give it a stir. Once all the sugar granules are dissolved in there, which means you can't see them anymore, then you've got yourself some nectar. Now it has to cool. You don't want to put it into your bottle when it's hot. We made sure to dissolve our sugar in the water by boiling it. What this does is it deactivates anything that's in the sugar or the water that might cause mold or mildew as it's sitting there in the sun. And those things are very harmful to the hummingbirds. We don't want that. Also, people will put red food color in their homemade nectar. That's also very bad for those hummingbirds. What we're gonna do here is we're gonna take the lid of this storage container and cut a hole the exact same diameter as the lid of the water bottle we're using. So I'll mark it. Please get adult supervision when using this tool if you're not familiar with its use. Now, my lid cracked quite a bit when I was cutting the holes. But what I can do is I can screw the water bottle down through there using the threads of the water bottle to secure it. So it kind of stays on by itself. Then you just want to make sure that the lid of the bottle easily screws on to the base. There we go. So that's secure. Now, the idea here is that we're going to have nectar that fills up our bottle and then comes down through the lid and into the basin. So now we need to use the X-Acto again to poke a hole in the lid. Kind of like that diameter there. Then we can secure the basin, and now we have feeder. The thing we need to do next is we need to figure out how we're gonna let this hang from something in our yard. And that's where our hanger comes in. Right here at the top, I just wanna untwist these until the hanger comes apart like this. Just wanna make sure that this wraps around the top part of the water bottle, this kind of diameter. Once I have that wrapped around there and I've looped it, I'm able to hang it so that it's vertical to the ground. Now we need a place for the hummingbird's nose, for the hummingbird's proboscis, for the hummingbird's beak, for the hummingbird's mouth parts to get into this lid. Go for the narrowest part of the lid. See, like just like that. Another way to make a hole is to get a metal object, much like our needle nose pliers, and heat it up. And making sure to use insulated gloves like a kitchen mitt so I don't burn myself. And I can just heat it up. Just a little pressure, and it melts right through and creates a hole. The best place to hang it is outdoors, away from your house, away from windows, and around other flowers that hummingbirds are attracted to. The perfect place I can think of is at my mother-in-law's house. Let's go hang it there.
Hi,
Mr. Frank.
Well, here is your hummingbird feeder as promised.
Oh, we're so excited about this. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so it may take a week or two for them to come on over here and decide to make it part of their route.
All right, the other thing I want to show you is that Linda has purchased some of these flowers. These are called hibiscus, and they're red because science says that there's a hypothesis that hummingbirds go for red. They feel like red is a more succulent flavor. So that's why we're proposing that our lid on our hummingbird feeder should also be red. And you'll see our hummingbird feeder is very close to where the hibiscus plants are. So they may be attracted to that. They may be attracted to the hibiscus plants. Either way, we're hoping they come pay us a visit.
Here with me, I have a special guest named Mr. Chambers. And Mr. Chambers is an amateur beekeeper. And he's going to teach us more about bees and why he keeps bees.
So these are just some of the tools that beekeepers use. And we'll start off with a little bit about sometimes what we wear. So usually when I'm working with the bees, I will wear something with long sleeves. Can you imagine why that is? Bees don't like to sting. In fact, it's the last thing they do, but they can sting when they feel threatened or uncomfortable. And so sometimes long sleeves help the bees to keep from getting caught where they will feel uncomfortable and lash out and sting. And I have a pair of gloves that all I do with these gloves is use them when I'm working with bees. And you can see these are white. So these don't have any other chemicals or smells or anything that would upset the bees or make them anxious. And so I wear these white gloves when I'm working with the bees, and I seal my arms close. You know how on a cold morning you like to lay in bed with the covers up around you? The bees on a cold morning like to stay inside the hive and not come out. But on a warm summer afternoon like this, the bees like to be out and flying around. They like to move a lot more. And so sometimes we'll wear this funny hat. And this hat has a net around it. And so when you put it on, the net goes around your face so that the bees can't fly up in around and get caught in your hair or your collar, and keeps you from feeling the bees crawling on you. When we keep bees, we like to keep them in a place that they would like that's safe for them, and so we use hives. And this is an example of a hive. We have some hives that are tall and some hives that are short, and they have a series of these plates inside them. And these plates have little hexagons on them because bees like to make their homes in little hexagon tubes that we call combs. I think in one of your episodes, you guys took flour and mixed it and made it into bread.
That's right.
Bees take pollen and mix it and turn it into bee bread. They also convert that into a special sweet treat called honey. And we have a sample of some honey here. Honey is a thick, sugary mixture that really only bees can make. And so that's why beekeepers keep bees. We keep them for two reasons. The first is to be a pollinator and to help pollinate plants, and the second is to produce honey.
So we've been talking about producers and consumers, and producers are plants. They convert the sun's energy into their own food. But producers sometimes need help, and that's where pollination comes in. You see, the process of pollination is where the pollen goes from the pistil to the stamen. Bees can come in here and they're looking for the pollen, so they're going to eat the pollen, and the pollen gets stuck to their furry bodies. And as they're eating, it gets spread to the stamen. And this is how the plant gets fertilized and creates a fruit. Right here, we have an example of fertilized versus non-fertilized fruits. This is a raspberry bush. And on this raspberry vine, you can see that these clusters here are the beginning of the raspberries that you and I eat. But here, it kind of looks like a dried up flower. Well, these dried up flowers didn't get fertilized, so there's no fruit growing there. So this is an unfertilized flower, and this is the fertilized flower that will become our yummy raspberry. Yum, yum.
Whoa, look at those bees. I've let it grow a little bit too long before I came and checked on it. Most of the time, we want the bees to make their nest down inside the hive, but these bees have gotten tired of being down inside the hive, and they've started growing it up out of the place where I intended them to grow the hive, and they've started making comb up higher and higher. And you can see all the little apartments where they make these little apartments for their cupboards, for their nurseries, for everything they need. If we look down here in this corner, see the golden part down inside those little storage containers? That's where the bees are hiding their honey.
Honey. I love honey, especially this one. This came from my brother's honeycomb, fresh and local. You know what, as I mix my honey here, this reminds me of a term called viscosity. You see, viscosity is a measurement of how fast or slow a liquid can move. So let's take a look at ketchup here. I love to put ketchup on a lot of different things. It's one of my favorite condiments. Look. 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 It's like moving in glumps. Slowly it drips clump by clump off of my spoon. It has a high viscosity. But take a look at my honey. This is more fluid, and it's sliding off my spoon, almost like a waterfall. You know another sweet treat I have in my house? Syrup. Pancake syrup. I take a spoonful of this pancake syrup and I let it drip. It falls at even a faster rate. So which one of these has the highest viscosity? If you're saying ketchup, you're right! It's thick, and it just goes in clumps. Which of these three substances has the lowest viscosity? If you're saying the syrup, you are absolutely correct. Viscosity. Did you know that this is a multi-viscosity liquid? Yes, it is. It's motor oil. And this right here, 10W30, it actually stands for something related to viscosity. You see, the W stands for winter. So this is 10W. winter for that viscosity, and in the summer, it's 30. So you can decide when you go to the store to purchase your motor oil what the best viscosity is for where you live or what kind of car you drive. Hey everybody, so in your lab notes for this month, there is directions to make your own solar oven. So what you're gonna need is a box with a lid. And you will need aluminum foil, plastic wrap, and some sort of dowel rod to prop your box open. You're going to line the entire box with aluminum foil, shiny side out. Alright, so I used my scissors to help cut the aluminum foil that I would need. And I lined the sides and the bottom as well as the top. And I'm going to use the tape to secure my aluminum foil to itself and the box. Once you have it secured, you're going to use your plastic wrap to make a tight cover over the opening of your box. Once you have your plastic wrap secured over the top, you'll use your tape once again to secure the sides of your plastic. And now, what's left is to use your dowel rod to secure the box open. And just like that, we have our very own solar oven. Put your things inside, like your nachos and cheese or your s'mores ingredients. Set it outside in direct sunlight, and you should be able to use your solar oven. Bon appetit!
Out here in the wilds of my backyard, there's a creature lurking in the bush. What is it? Could it be? It's the elusive beagle! Well, that's our show. Outdoors Together for June. Now, while you're listening to this outro, make sure to click on the link for the Zoom meeting after the show. We want to hear from you on our Zoom meeting after the show. We've got some more treats for you. We want to hear what you thought, and we want your ideas for our next show coming up August 15th. We don't know whether that's going to be in person or whether that's going to continue to be virtual, but we look forward to having you there. Make sure you get outside this summer. Breathe some fresh air. Get your lungs nice and strong. It'll be good for you.
Science Saturday, why it's a lovely day to try some science and say, why does it happen that way? Ask some questions, get some answers, see some science, hear some laughter. You might even find yourself thinking and learning and laughing. Oh, Science Saturday, why it's a lovely day to try some science and say, why does it happen that way? Why does it happen that way? Why does it happen that way? What are we studying for science today?